It's 2 in the morning. You are lying in the dark doing absolutely nothing, and your brain is doing everything. You sent a text 6 hours ago, 3 words, nothing dramatic, and nobody has answered. So now you are replaying it, word for word. What you said, what you should have said, what they probably think of you right now, at this exact moment, while you lie here running the whole thing back for the 20th time. You know this feeling. Everyone does. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why your brain does this to you, and only at night, and only when something is left unresolved. Once you see the mechanism behind it, you will never look at a sleepless night the same way again, because here's the truth, nobody tells you this is not anxiety, it is not stress. It is not you being too sensitive, too much, too in your own head. The real reason goes back 200,000 years to a version of you that had a very good reason to stay alert once it got dark. And that version of you never got the memo that the predators are gone. And there's one study I want to come back to before this video is over. Something that happened by accident in a cafe in Vienna in the 1920s. When I first read about it, I had to stop and just sit with it for a second. It explains more about your 2 a.m. brain than anything else in this video. But first, let's call her Maya. Maya sent that text, had a good time, 4 hours of silence. And now Maya is lying in bed, running a full trial in her own head, playing both the prosecutor and the defendant. But here's where it gets weird, because this isn't about anxiety at all. This is about an alarm system. And your alarm system was built by evolution to make one very specific mistake on purpose over and over. There's a psychiatrist named Randolph Nessa who studies exactly this. He calls it the smoke detector principle. Think about what makes a good smoke detector. Not one that only goes off during an actual fire. One that also goes off sometimes over burnt toast. Because a false alarm costs you 30 annoying seconds. A missed alarm costs you your house. Evolution does not build accurate alarms. It builds twitchy ones. And that twitchy alarm is currently going off in your chest over an unanswered text. 200,000 years ago, that alarm went off mostly at night, because night was hunting hours, not for you, for whatever was hunting you. The ancestors who slept like the dead through the darkness didn't leave descendants. The ones who did were the ones whose brains stayed a little bit on. Scanning, listening, running possible dangerous scenarios even while their bodies rested. That is not a flaw you inherited. That is the only kind of brain that made it this far down the line to you. But here's what nobody tells you about that alarm system. It does not know the difference between a lion in the grass and an unanswered text message. Because to that ancient alarm, an unresolved problem looks exactly like a predator hiding somewhere close. Dangerous. Still out there. Not yet confirmed safe. And there is a reason for that too. Your entire world 200,000 years ago was about 30 people. If someone in that group was upset with you and it stayed unresolved, you could be cast out. And alone, outside the group, you lasted about 3 days. So your brain learned a rule a very long time ago. Unresolved equals unsafe. It has never once stopped applying that rule to you. And this is the part I actually didn't want to include, because it explains a very specific thought you've had this week. Let's call him Jake. Jake sent an email to his boss on Friday afternoon. Slightly blunt tone in hindsight. Nobody has replied. It is now Sunday night, and Jake is lying awake, certain he is about to be fired. Here's what the research actually shows about brains like Jake's. Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying this exact pattern. Losses and threats weigh far heavier on the mind than gains and safety ever do. A calm inbox does not register. A blunt email sitting unanswered registers instantly, and it stays registered all weekend at full volume. And it's not just Jake, it's not just Maya. Widen it out and you'll see the same pattern in every relationship you've ever had. The argument that got resolved with a shrug instead of an actual conversation. That's not resolved. Your brain filed it as open. The friendship that went quiet after one awkward exchange, also filed as open. You were walking around with dozens of these open files, and every single one of them is a tiny alarm, quietly humming, waiting for the lights to go out so it can finally get your full attention. And this is where that cafe in Vienna comes back in. Stay with me, because this next part is why I made this video. In 1927, a psychologist named Blume Zeigarnik was sitting in that cafe watching the waiters work, and she noticed something strange. The waiters could remember an enormous, complicated order perfectly, in full detail, right up until the customer paid the bill. The moment payment happened, the memory vanished almost instantly. Not faded, gone. She took it back to the lab and confirmed it there too. Unfinished tasks stay lit up in your memory. Completed ones go dark almost immediately. Your mind is built to hold on to what isn't closed yet, and to release what is. Your unanswered text is an unpaid bill. Your unresolved argument is an unpaid bill. And your brain, at 2 in the morning, with nothing else demanding its attention, finally has the quiet to go through every unpaid bill on the books. This is not anxiety you should be ashamed of. This is not a broken brain. This is not you failing to just relax like everyone else seems to. This is a 200,000-year-old alarm system doing exactly what kept your ancestors alive, running in a world that no longer has the predators it was built for. At the 1 hour of the day, quiet enough for you to finally hear it. Pus. Most people go their whole lives thinking something is wrong with them for this. There isn't. There's just an old system doing its job a little too well in the wrong century. So here's what I want you to take from this. First, the science. Your brain does not calm down at night because it's broken. It gets loud at night because darkness and silence are exactly the conditions its alarm system was built to monitor most closely. Second, the reframe. That 2 a.m. spiral is not proof that something is deeply wrong with you. It is proof that you have a functioning, ancient threat detection system currently pointed at the wrong kind of threat. Third, and this is the part that actually matters tomorrow night, you cannot argue your alarm system into silence. You can only name it. Next time it's 2 a.m. and your brain is running the same loop, just say it quietly to yourself. There's the alarm. Not a fire. You don't have to solve it right then. You don't have to win the argument in your head. You just have to notice that it's an alarm and let it be loud for a minute. And know that loud does not mean true. I want to know which unpaid bill is your brain running right now at whatever hour you're actually watching this. Drop it in the comments. Because I have a feeling a lot of us are going to recognize each other down there. Your brain isn't trying to ruin your sleep. It's a 200,000-year-old friend, still standing guard at the door long after the thing it was guarding against ever left.